Sometimes you just have to move forward and you don't have perfect options. And I think in business, this is where people go wrong. They're like, what is my good option and my bad option? I'm going to choose my good option. And that's not how business goes a lot of times. It's, I kind of have two not very good options, but you have to move forward with the less bad option. Does that make sense? And that's what I had to do to launch my podcast. You still survive, but you can't survive if you don't have people to go to that will kick you back in the game, that will tell you how to fix it, that say, don't worry, I've done something like that before and I survived it. You're going to be okay too.
Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Harder Show, where we are making you unapologetic about your pursuit of success, knowing that when good people like you make good money, they can then do great things. My name is Chris Harder, and several times per week, I will bring you epic guests, solo episodes, and every single tool, trick, and skill set you need to grow your business, grow your money mindset, and to grow your wealth to levels that you have never reached before. I've ended up in a unique place in life where I've got the experience, the connections, and all of the secrets that it takes to be successful. And I'm lifting the curtain to reveal it all to you in an effort to help put you in a position of abundance so great that you can then be as generous as possible. So let's lock arms and let's get started.
And we're back
with another episode of He Said, She Said.
Hey, before we get started, we gotta let everyone know we are about to open cart in a couple of weeks from this recording and only going to take 30 new people into our Mentor Collective Mastermind, which is a very small number. But here's why we only take a small number. This is the one that's the most supportive mastermind literally on the internet, right? And so what it means is not only are Lori and I teaching every 2 weeks, but there's a call every single week for you to learn from. And we have hired coaches that we pay for out of our money, and a lot of them. And they are expertise coaches. So there's a sales coach, a marketing coach, life and health coach. There is a tech coach. I mean, there's everything, right? So any problem you ever have in your business, you have a coach to go to and ask unlimited questions of, courtesy of us paying for the coach. So you don't have to pay for the coach. So everything you ever need is in this mastermind. But that's why we have to limit it to real small groups every time that we enroll. Now, the mastermind as a group grows bigger and bigger, but we have to grow the number of coaches in accordance with the number of members. So bottom line, we're only going to take 30 people. Now, if you're listening, when Lori and I only take 30 people, that is not a lot. Like that is a small, that goes like zoom right away. So here's your greatest chance of getting to get one of those chances. And first of all, this is the mastermind that is for people earning between, I'd say 25,000 and 500,000. 500,000 is where you got to start applying for the elite level mastermind. Now, with that being said, here's how you get on the early access list. You have to go to chrisharder.me/waitlist. That way you'll be the first to know when we open cart in a couple of weeks. Again, that is chrisharder.me.me/waitlist. chrisharder.me/waitlist. Put your name on the waitlist. You'll get a heads up before anybody else so that you've got the highest chance of getting one of those 30 spots. And it is, I mean, go read all testimonials on the sales page. It is awesome.
Okay, so we are going to get into our podcast today, and we were discussing what topics we should talk about. And I had thought of sharing with you guys some of our kind of like screw ups,
bloopers,
embarrassments that at the time felt huge. Traumatic, you guys. And now we laugh at them, but we want to share them because these happen all the time. And so it is literally about your comeback rate when you're an entrepreneur. And I think it's really important to know that I can't tell you the amount of people who are big names who have told me the most hilarious stories I can possibly tell you. So, Chris, do you want to start off?
Oh, yeah.
With when
I'll fall on the sword right away. Yes, I'll fall on the sword right away. Okay, so Lori and I used to release a course called Aligned. And this is what makes it really funny, is the fact that it's called Aligned. Like, ooh, we're so aligned, right? And it was a great course, part business, part life, just getting everything aligned to be able to be successful. It's not available anymore, but this was like one of our flagship products for a minute. And we really put everything we had into creating the content and the lessons and the flow of the course, and then high production value filming, you name it. Like we went all in on this thing, and this was going to be this big multi-7-figure product, blah, 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 right? So we do the recordings, And if you guys have ever recorded something where it's kind of scripted, because you have to script it to make sure that you're doing all the teaching and hitting all the lessons just right. Well, if you've ever recorded something where it's kind of scripted, it's almost tougher than if you're riffing from your brain. And
Yes.
you tend to screw up a lot. And so I am known for something that is called
A crisp fit.
lovingly a crisp fit. And a crisp fit is basically when little things go wrong, I lose my shit.
There's a temper tantrum that looks like a toddler tantrum.
And what's funny is when big things go wrong, I'm cool as a cucumber. Like, no problem. I got this. Oh, aliens are arriving. No problem. I got this. Oh, left my keys in the house when I got in the car. Right? So every time I would screw up on the script, trying to teach the lessons in this course called Aligned, I would kind of like throw a baby crisp fit. And then the more you do it, the bigger the crisp fits get, because you start to get more
timeline to you guys, because we had sold the program to a bunch of people with a deadline. So we pre-sold the program, which is totally normal, right? Like back in the day, it wasn't as talked about, but a lot of people were doing it. So our audience did not know we didn't have all of the content yet, which is, like I said, normal, but not to your audience. So we pre-sell, have all of these people to deliver to, and we had 3 days to film this big, long course. And it was the more you tried to nail this particular module, the more it just kept going awry.
Yeah, so a lot of pressure. So the crisp fits get bigger and bigger and bigger, but no problem, because our video editor at the time, his name was Jesse. We're like, hey, Jesse, just make sure you take all these out. No problem. He's like, yeah, I got this. So sure enough, he does all the editing and takes out all the crisp bits and, makes this great course. And we are so proud we release it. And this one was a more high-end course. And we released the first batch of courses to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. I forgot, it was 700 people or something like that. Well, by the end of the first day, those overachievers that went way ahead in the modules and dove in and spent the whole day doing the course, somewhere in module 4 or 5, whatever it was, I forget, Jesse had missed a crisp fit. Let this sink in. Picture you're taking a course called Aligned, and you just invested a couple $1,000s in it. And the material's really good. And module 1 goes good, module 2 goes good, module 3, and you get to module 4, and I start teaching. And all of a sudden I screw up on some words, and I go, fuck. And it's still in the course called Aligned. So there's a few overly ambitious people that cruised ahead. And so by the end of the first day, we had 3, 4, 5 emails. They're like, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Chris is freaking the F out in module 4. You guys might want to do something about it.
Some people who had, thank God it was people who they had been in our world for a long time. So they thought it was funny, but we did not. So we were dying.
So we had to quickly take the course offline. And people are going in and logging in wait, where'd the course go? We had to edit it out, re-upload it. The whole thing was a mess. Now, what was my lesson from that? Number 1, don't throw fits. Number 2, no matter how hard you try and no matter how good your team is, you're going to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be able to have a sense of humor when you do. You have to let the wave of embarrassment and anger just kind of flow through you. You can't overreact. You just have to fix it right away in the moment, the best that you can.
Yeah. And I mean, your whole body kind of takes over and it feels like a trauma response, truly. And I remember it was a week straight where you were sick to your stomach.
Yeah,
just
terrible.
We don't know who saw it. We don't know what people are thinking.
How many people saw it and didn't email?
I don't know. And this was a little bit of a time before people were outwardly being themselves.
Yeah.
Really coming out with their personalities. And so it was Chris online and then Chris throwing a fit. So it was just this
2 different personalities.
Oh my God. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that quote, sooner or later, you're going to get caught being yourself. So you might as well be yourself now.
Well, I might as well do nothing but crisp fits in public.
That's why the Audacity Challenge is good for me. I'm I just can say whatever I want and it feels better to be caught being myself so that I'm not caught being myself.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Little miss for yourself. What is one of your big F-ups that happen in business?
I have so many, and I actually have one that I will never share. It was so bad.
I know.
Eventually, you know which one, but I can't even talk about it. I can't even talk about it. Literally, it's bad. But obviously, I have a podcast. You're listening to it, was interviewing someone I was so excited about. I got to finally interview
Yes, babe.
Boss Babe, the founders of Boss Babe, when it was Natalie and Danielle of Boss Babe. And Natalie is my business partner now. And I am interviewing her.
I got clarified, but you didn't know him very well then.
No, I did not know.
You just met him.
Like hardly at all. I'd met her once, like hung out with her a couple times, like, but at different dinner things.
Yeah.
And you guys have to understand, they've always been like partners. Like they're always together. Like it's Natalie and Danielle. So my brain just pictures both of them together all the time. So while I'm interviewing, I have a realization at the end of my podcast that I have been calling her by the wrong name the entire podcast, and she didn't tell me.
You were calling Natalie Danielle.
Yes.
It was a full podcast, and she never spoke up.
No.
Oh my God.
And I was like, did I just call you that? Like through the whole thing? And she was like, yeah, it's fine because we're partners and it happens all the time. I was like, that doesn't happen all the time. I was like, I feel like such an asshole.
I feel like I need to frame this better. I want you guys to picture, like, if you have a podcast, your biggest get, you're like so excited to meet this person. You're so excited to get to know these people. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're going to be on my podcast. This is going to be great. And you get all sorts of downloads. And, this is really going to help the show. And you're all excited. And you prepare all your questions. You put a lot of effort into it. And then you spend an hour calling them the wrong effing name. That is hard to live down.
A nightmare. And then I had to tell my editors, could you go try to edit out whenever I would say the wrong name because I called her the wrong
supposed to be just like silence, like
thing.
So tell me, Hank, what was the time that you blah blah blah?
I'm just like dying. I was like, what was she thinking the whole time while I was asking her questions? Like, you asshole.
Babe, I've got one more because we're on the topic of podcasts and asking editors to edit things out.
Oh, shit. I know this.
All right, here's another major blooper mistake as well. And guys, we're sharing this because it's going to happen. So we want to normalize the mistakes and then we're going to share like what you do when they happen. But, when I released my podcast 1,000 and some episodes ago, I was brand new and everyone's brand new at some point to something. Now I, despite owning a tech company today, I'm not very technologically inclined. It's just never been my thing. And so we had this great big podcast studio set up at our home in Santa Monica and had this great big mixing board. And I was new to podcasting. And I said, hey, what do I do if I have to like cough or something? And my brother who had set it all up said, oh, no problem. This button here, you press this, and this right here, you just pull this down and you can talk whatever you want, say whatever you want, and no one's going to hear. The person on the other end's not going to hear. So I'm like, okay, good. Well, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but when you launch a podcast, the best practice is to record 8 incredible episodes before you launch so that you can launch with 4 episodes published right away for people to listen to and fast follow-ons immediately after that. It's one of the ways to boost the numbers of downloads and get on the new and noteworthy and all that stuff.
Like your strongest guests.
Your strongest guests. So I arranged the strongest guests that I could get my hands on for my first 8 episodes. That means I'm interviewing these people that I look up to. Brand new interviewer, right? So you prepare all the questions. I put my all into this. It's going to be great. And unfortunately, when I scheduled them to do the 8 interviews, I had gotten a cold. And like not a little cold, like a big cold. And so I'm like, okay, no big deal. If I have to cough or if I have to clear my throat or something, I'm just going to pull this little sound thing down and push it back up and no one will ever know. So through the first maybe 6 of 8 episodes, I would be interviewing them and all of a sudden I'd have to clear my throat. And so I'd pull the little sound thing down. I'd go, and then push it back up. And I think I'm in the clear because good news, the person on the other end isn't hearing me. So they're not reacting because I'm pulling the sound to them down, but not on the recording because you're recording 2 different sounds and putting them together on a podcast. So you do an interview. So I look at them on Zoom. They're not reacting. I'm like, woohoo, this is working. And I clear my throat and I clear my throat and I clear my throat over it, like hacking up a lung. Disgusting sounds you got.
While they're talking.
And so I get through this. I'm like, yeah, babe, I'm so proud. I had a cold. It didn't stop me. I got through this. Every time I'd clear my throat, I just muted it. So we ship off the 8 episodes to our podcast producers. I'm all proud of them. And a couple of days later, they send back and they're like, are you joking? Like, what'd you do? Like, this is it? I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, in every single episode, 8, 9, 10, 15 times, you go, bleh, while the other person is answering. Like, what are we supposed to do? And I was devastated devastated. Now,
You were devastated.
your first
You were
episode,
hard
you're
to
trying
deal
to
with.
make, you're probably through a Chris.
You were so hard to deal with. I was like, this is a disaster for my life.
But you want to make the best first impression possible. I'm like, I can't go back to these 8 big names and ask them to re-record.
No.
Not going to happen. So I asked the editors, I'm like, fix it. I don't care how you fix it. I don't care if the sound just goes mute. I don't care if you splice it out. So if you go back and listen to my first 6 or 8 episodes, you can, if you listen closely, you can hear where the person's talking and then maybe the words don't match up because they had to splice out, 3 seconds.
Tracking.
Or where the person's talking, but it just kind of goes mute. You can go back, you can find the edits where they had to clear out my throat clearing as best as they could.
God.
And done was better than perfect.
Uh-huh.
What I learned from that one, sometimes you just have to move forward and you don't have perfect options. And I think in business, this is where people go wrong. They're like, oh, well, what is my good option and my bad option? I'm going to choose my good option. And that's not how business goes a lot of times. It's, I kind of have 2 not very good options, but you have to move forward with the less bad option. Does that make sense? And that's what I had to do to launch my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And you still survive. We're sharing these stories because you have to understand, you still survive.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't survive if you don't have people to go to that will kick you back in the game, that will tell you how to fix it, that will say, hey, don't worry, I made this mistake once before. Here's what I did. Don't worry, I made this mistake once before and I survived it. I think that's the most important thing is you got to have peers and you have to have mentors that say, don't worry, I've done something like that before and I survived it. You're going to be okay too.
Yeah, that's been my biggest learning from hanging out with entrepreneurs, especially like big people who I look up to, is that they share all of that. And it makes me feel so much better. And when you feel alone in it, you're like, I'm such an idiot. How did I let this happen? Oh my God, is it me? Is it my team? It's being a human. And it really is about your comeback rate. Like, how fast can you come back from your failures? The best athletes, they say they don't have a memory. Like they don't remember the bad plays. And while we can laugh at it now, truly when things happen like that, I'm like, my mantra is, well, what's next?
Yep.
Well, what's next? Because I can't sit here. It's making me feel sick and there's nothing I can do. If there's nothing more I can do about it, then like, what's next? What do I have to focus on?
And this is why we put together the Mentor Collective Masterminds, because these mistakes tend to happen, throughout your entire career, but so much more so when you're just getting started, when you're making your first 100 grand, 200 grand, 300, 400, 500 grand, right? Because you're kind of newer at things. And so this is why we have the life coaches in there for you to turn to, life and business coaches. This is why we have the marketing coach to turn to when you screw up your marketing. This is why we have the sales coach to turn to when you screw up your sales. This is why we have the tech coach to turn to when you screw up on your tech, right? We have a coach for every single business discipline that you could possibly need. Heck, we even have an attorney, a small business attorney, a legal coach in there, so that when you get yourself in legal little mix-haps, you got someone to turn to in there as well. And that's why we put together Mentor Collectives, because not everyone has the resources or the network that we had when we were getting started. And this gives you mentors, right? Lori and I, and the coaches to turn to. And it gives you peers, people that are kind of at the same place as you, maybe a step or 2 ahead, to be able to say, don't worry, I did that too. Or don't worry, I know how to fix this. Or don't worry, this happened to me the other day. And people that understand your struggle.
It is the best. Like, I wish I would have had this, and we created what we wish we had. And it's like our favorite calls to do. They're so fun.
Oh God, we get off them and we're on a high. So listen, if you guys want a live call where your business questions are answered every single week, if you want coaches sharing their expertise with you on the in-between weeks, if you want on-demand coaching from every type of business coach you could want, complimentary once you're in the program, and so much more. Matter of fact, here's the coolest new thing we're adding to it. Weekly accountability coaches. Somebody to check in on you and say, hey, last week you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. Did you do it? Oh, you didn't? Why not? What's your commitment this week? Oh, maybe you need to meet this person. Maybe I need to point you that direction. When people shift from like a job to entrepreneurship, the biggest thing they struggle with is holding themselves accountable.
I know. They don't have a boss anymore.
Well, we fixed that with this program, but there's only going to be a spot for about 30 of you. So go to right now that this episode's done. I'm not kidding. Get your tail on that wait list. It's going to be your only shot to get a spot. Go to chrisharder.me/waitlist. Again, that is chrisharder.me/waitlist, and that'll get you on the wait list.
We're so grateful for you guys, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening. And if you loved this episode and know of someone else who is as successful as they are generous, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world to me if you help me get this cause and this message out to as many listeners as I can. So please, if you liked what you heard, it goes a long way if you take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful. And until the next episode, cheers to your success.